Okay, so here we are live once again with another DC Multiverse unboxing from Mcfarlane Toys, and this is Nightmare Batman from Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Again, we have the unique package design that was created for the Batman v Superman figures. Nice portrait of Ben Affleck as Batman on the back in the Knightmare costume. But before we open up this figure, I forgot to do the trading card from the Aquaman figure on our last episode. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. There's the artwork on the trading card, and that's what the back looks like. Get a better look at that. And it reads, Aquaman Justice League Task Force data file. Powers, super strength, durability, control over sea life, exceptional swimming ability, ability to breathe underwater. That's kind of an awkward way to phrase that, ability, right next to each other twice. But, oh, whatever. First appearance, More Fun Comics, number 73, 1941. Alias / alter ego Arthur Curry. Base of operations, Atlantis. All right, so we got that out of the way. And then, of course, we had the figure stand that came with that, so I'm going to go and get that out. And then I can go ahead and put the box in the recycling once I go outside again, whatever that is. So, sorry I missed the trading card last time. We'll try to remember to get it when we open up this one, because I don't want to do this thing right over and over again, forget the trading card. So let's go ahead and open it up, since we already had a look at the packaging. So I've got the armored version of Batman on pre-order from Big Bad Toy Store, and at some point I might try to get Wonder Woman, but I already have the Shazam version of Wonder Woman, so I'm not 100% sure whether or not it's worth going through the trouble to buy another one, since it's essentially the same figure, isn't it? Like, I don't know if there's really that much of a difference. But I'll look into it and figure out if it's worth me picking up. On the other hand, even though I already have, a Ben Affleck Batman, I don't have the Knightmare version of Ben Affleck Batman. That's different enough for me to buy, right? I had the regular BVS Batman, and I had the Flash version of Batman. The blue version, not the black version. The blue version, I think, was a Walmart exclusive. I found it at Walmart anyway. So he's got a rubber tab around the upper part of his torso, and then 2 more rubber tabs around each of these wrists. Fairly easy to get to. And then rubber tab around each of his feet. Not even around his ankles, around his feet. And those aren't so easy to get at. So I wish they had to put them somewhere else. That's like they fit right into that little groove there. There, I got them. All right, and the 2 accessories he comes with are a pair of binoculars and a pair of goggles. No gun, because, of course, DC's got to be weird about giving their characters guns, even though he had a gun in the movie. If you could give him a gun in the movie, you can give him a gun in the action figure. That's what I think should be the rule. If a character actually uses a gun in the medium, you should be allowed to give him a gun for the toy. I think that's fair. So they did a nice job with the trench coat. You can see it's got some dust around the bottom part of it, so it does look kind of rough. I believe this is the same head sculpt that we had on Batman previously. Nice likeness of Ben Affleck as Batman. Got like just a little dusting of stubble on there. Not enough to be like obnoxious or anything, but enough to be noticeable. He's got the neckerchief scarf around his neck, and like I said, the trench coat, and then he's got the kind of combat style pants. So I wonder if these are the same pants that Sergeant Rock has, since I never got the Sergeant Rock figure. He does have where a gun holster should be. There's no holster there, but of course he wouldn't have a gun to put in the holster anyway. And this, I would assume, reuses the same torso as the previous Batman v Superman Batman figure, and the same utility belt, because the utility belt is solid black this time. So the goggles should fit over his head, and they're a little bit more rigid plastic than I would have expected. Usually, like removable goggles like this are kind of rubbery, but they seem like they're a much more firm plastic than I would have expected. So they fit over the top of his head like that, and since they're not very rubbery, I don't know how well they'll fit. It doesn't seem to want to fit over the eyes, and I don't want to take a chance on breaking it, so I'm not going to force it. But again, that's why goggles are usually a more rubbery type of plastic like this. And if you can't put the goggles over his eyes, there really wasn't much point in having them be a separate piece. You might as well just had them sculpted onto the head. So we got these binoculars. Let's see if we can get him to look through the binoculars. And since he does have that kind of good Mcfarlane wrist articulation, I'm thinking that's going to help. But let's go ahead and put the binoculars into his hand. And his fingers are kind of rigid, so... You know, one of the things that bugs me about the Mcfarlane figures is how the hands can be kind of rigid sometimes, and that makes it a little difficult to fit these accessories into the hands. More difficult than it should be, anyway. So between the double-jointed elbows and that nicely articulated wrist, I don't think we should have too much of a problem getting him to look through these binoculars. Get him into a good looking through binoculars pose. Yeah, that's pretty good. We got a pretty decent one going on there. So another part that I noticed that's probably reused from the previous Batman is the forearms, which is you know, kind of weird because the forearms do have the texture on them of the bat suit once you get past the gauntlet. So it doesn't quite, you know, it doesn't quite work as the sleeve of the trench coat. You can kind of ignore it a little bit, but it's still there. So let's go ahead and have a look at his articulation. So Batman can look up about that far. He can look down about that far. Tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side. Rotate the head all the way around. Of course, the arms rotate all the way around the shoulders. I do believe that Batman does have butterfly joints underneath, but he doesn't have the spacers in there. But still, the arms move back about that far, move forward about that far. They are somewhat hindered by this trench coat. They do rotate all the way around the shoulders, and the arms move up about that far. Again, the trench coat is going to kind of get in the way a little bit, and I think the shoulders are a little bulkier because they are on a trench coat. He does have a bicep swivel, so the bicep rotates all the way around. Got double jointed elbows. That's about the range of motion you get at the elbows. And then, like I mentioned before, he's got that cool Mcfarlane wrist articulation, so we can move his wrists around pretty much any which way we want to. So that's good. He's got the good Mcfarlane torso articulation, but it's, again, underneath that trench coat, so that's going to kind of hinder it somewhat. The trench coat is going to hinder the articulation. That's just how it's going to be. You know, it's like it's a trade-off there. Now, they could have given him like a soft goods kind of trench coat, but then I think you would have missed out on some of the detail of the sculpting of the trench coat, which it does have like a nice sort of fabric texture to it, and you know, some seams here and there that are kind of nice. You know, I do think a lot of the times that the molded plastic trench coats like this look better than a fabric trench coat on a anything under a 12-inch figure. But it's a bit of a trade-off. You know, it's not going to be perfect either way. So either you're going to have a trench coat that just it doesn't quite fit the figure as well as a sculpted trench coat like this could, or you're going to give up some articulation. That's just how it's going to be. But that's okay. We've got well-articulated Batman figures. This is our Knightmare Batman, so he just needs to look cool, really, doesn't he? So Batman can kick up about that far, which is not the best articulation as far as, speaking of which, And it's not even because the trench coat gets in the way, it's because of the rubber trunk piece. The rubber trunk piece, and he's got these kind of thick legs. Like I say, I don't have the Sergeant Rock figure, but I kind of wonder if some of these parts are reused from Sergeant Rock. That would make sense. And then I can't tell if these are the same boots that are on. No, it's not the same boots. These are the they wouldn't be the same boots on Sergeant Rock, obviously. But I was almost thinking maybe they could have reused the lower legs from the Batman v Superman figure, but no, they've got pants legs sculpted onto them, so that's good. And then he's got double jointed knees, which that's about the range of motion you get at the knees. Actually, they go even a little bit further than that. And then the cool Mcfarlane ankle articulation, of course, so they rotate all the way around, both where the foot meets or where the ankle meets the foot and where the ankle meets the shin. Although it does seem like the foot articulation on this one is kind of a little sticky. There, that one I got to rotate all the way around. So that works. And then, of course, the toe articulation just to show off. So this is a pretty simple review. There's not a whole lot else to say about him. It's a nice figure, and I'm glad to have it. But he does have a few issues. I do wish that they'd have, bothered to give him some different forearms so he didn't have the kind of bat suit texture on there. I do wish the articulation was a little better, but again, the trench coat's gonna kind of get in the way. But there's also just various stuff that, like, the trench coat isn't really interfering with his legs. It's the way they put this trunk piece together, so it just doesn't move as well as you might like. But he's an impressive looking figure. I think the worst thing, though, about him is that he does not come with a rifle, which, you think of the Knightmare Batman as having a rifle. But, since I happen to have some G.I. Joe accessories nearby, why don't we take this this M16 type rifle that came with Scarlet, since I happen to have this handy. And that way we can go ahead and put a rifle in his hand and see what he looks like with a rifle in his hand. Now, thankfully, for somebody like me, since I have a 3D printer, I can print one out. And in fact, I did see where somebody on cults3d.com, they'd made a 3D model of the rifle that Batman has in Batman v Superman. So you can print one out yourself if you have a 3D printer, so that's good. Or if you've got like extra accessories from G.I. Joe or from Valaverse Action Force, or one of the Todd McFarlane sets of weapons. I'm not going to bother to put the other end of the rifle in his hand, just because those fingers are kind of rigid, but you get the idea. So there's all kinds of ways you could get a rifle that would work really well with this guy, but you really shouldn't have to, honestly. You really should just have a rifle that came with the figure to begin with. And that is not McFarlane's fault. I'm not going to blame McFarlane for it. I don't know, maybe they could push back on this a little further and be like, hey, can we at least give the characters guns when it's appropriate? When it's a character that normally uses a gun, can't they just come with a gun and not have an empty-handed Knightmare Batman? Like, I even understand why people would be kind of antsy about Batman specifically, since usually Batman has a code against using guns. But, of course, the Knightmare reality was a completely different situation. He was literally fighting a war against, like, intergalactic forces. And, the parademons aren't really like sentient beings. They're kind of creatures that don't have a soul or whatever. They're just kind of like automatons. They're not like real people. They're kind of like orcs or something, like space orcs, kind of. So they don't really have like a sentience, like a normal human being or a normal alien. Obviously somebody like the Martian Manhunter or Superman has a soul, but the parademons don't really. So killing parademons is not really like murder. It's like, it's like killing a robot, basically. They're like robots that are organic, if that makes any sense. But but yeah, that's why Batman had a rifle in the movie, and why it was fine in those scenes. You know, it's a desperate situation. It's like that's the nightmare reality, and that's kind of part of why that works that way. So anyway, that's pretty much it for this figure. Like I said, not a whole heck of a lot to say about him. It's a nice figure. I don't mind, that I bought it. I'm not trying to complain about it, but sometimes you just have a short video. That's all there is to it. I kind of feel like I rambled on like a little longer than I even needed to, but that's pretty much it for Nightmare Batman. He's a good figure. I like it, but there are things that they could have done better with them, and I wish they had have done better. And he really should have come with a rifle. But that's it for this episode. I will be back next week, and we're going to get started on some of the superpowers that I have to open up. That's what I'm going to have to work with next week. So we've got the new Superman, the new classic style Superman. We got the black and gray Batman. We got Bizarro. We got the Riddler, and we got Gold Aquaman. So that should be fun. And of course, I've got like some vehicles that I got to open for superpowers. I still haven't gotten around to opening up Brainiac's skull ship, and I might try to do that next week. But I've got the set of the black Batman vehicles, so we definitely want to have a look at that. So that's my plan for next week. And then we've got Batman 66 figures to open up, and we just got like a whole lot of cool stuff. I noticed that I happen to have a lot of figures that I can open that are characters who are black. And of course, Black History Month is coming up. So I figured, might as well save those for February. So, and that'll be getting back into some Marvel Legends type stuff. So I don't want to say too much about it yet, but that's my plan for February, is to open up some of those characters. So got a lot of cool stuff coming up. If you want to make sure you don't miss it, make sure you like and subscribe. All the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this figure and Batman in general, and specifically the Knightmare version of Batman, and this iteration of the character, which I think has some interesting potential whenever they get around to finally continuing on that. They're gonna continue the Snyderverse at some point. Like, I don't even know why people think they're not going to. It's gonna happen at some point. So just wait and see. We'll wait and see what happens. All right, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.